So I wasn't exactly planning on doing this. We did recently get 2 Nintendo Directs back to back, and usually I wouldn't talk about these sort of things until, like, say, June, when there's a huge bunch of video game presentations that usually come out, the usual E3 stuff or non-E3 stuff or that kind of thing. But there was a lot of exciting things happening in these directs that I thought, you know what, I actually kind of want to talk about this. I actually want to give my thoughts and feelings on what has happened, and hopefully you guys would like it. So yeah, this is my attempt to break out into just doing something a bit different from the usual videos you get from me. So I apologize for any change in audio quality or just my general cadence in general. So the first thing I want to talk about is the Nintendo Direct that came out March 27th, which talked about mostly the next level of Switch 1 games, the last set of Switch 1 games that are going to come out. And you know, I thought it was an okay Nintendo Direct, a bunch of interesting stuff. I'm not going to go into every single game because, well, I'm not going to go into every single game in detail because we have a lot more to talk about with the second Direct. The first one was Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D Remake. I have limited experience with the Dragon Quest series. I think I've played both Builders games, and I did play a little bit of Dragon Quest 1. I think it was a remake that came out a few years ago or something like that. I played it. Yeah, Dragon Quest has not been something that I've really gone into that much. It does look good. I think it does look really interesting. The HD 2D style is really nice. It's really cool. And it works really well here. It looks really fantastic. But I don't really know much about Dragon Quest or their games, so I can't really say whether or not it's of good quality or that. It looks good quality, but I've not played the games, and so yeah, I don't know if this is something that I really will look into because there's so much other stuff that I've got a huge interest in. But for those who are really into Dragon Quest, I think this looks going to be great. I think it looks really great. I think it might be really good. After that came No Sleep for Kaname Date from The Sonum Files. I've seen The Sonum Files around before. I don't really know what this is about. It looks like another virtual novel type game, maybe some puzzle solving involving. I'm not sure. It's not really something I'm particularly into. Same with Raido Remastered, The Mystery of the Soulless Army. I think it's a part of the whole Shin Megami Tensei series, but I just don't really have much of an interest in it. It looks good, it looks fun and interesting, and yeah, that's your sort of thing. I'm sure you enjoy it, but nothing really in it for me. The first game that I thought does have kind of appeal to it is Shadow Labyrinth, which, I mean, the premise of it is just absolutely hilarious. You've got this weird Metroidvania style game, but you mix it in with, of all things, Pac-Man. You're making a serious game involving Pac-Man. That's just, the premise of that alone is just hilarious. And I know it's supposed to be based on an episode of a series called Secret Level. I've not been able to watch that because I think it's what was it, on Amazon Prime or something like that? I haven't really even seen it. But the premise alone is just really funny. And yeah, it definitely captures my interest a little bit, so I may keep an eye on it, see where it's going. After that was Patapon 1+2 Replay, remasters of games from the PSP. They look a lot of fun, looks really good. I'm sure if you know about Patapon, you'll really get into it. I never really played it myself, but I definitely, yeah, I might give it a shot at some point. Then was Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar. It kind of falls into that same kind of category of farming sim sort of thing, and I've not really been interested into a farming sim since Stardew Valley, to be perfectly honest, and I don't see myself getting into this one. After that was more of Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and yeah, this is like the big thing that you kind of think would have ended the Direct, but they shove it in fairly close to the beginning, about a third of the way through, and we get more details about what the world is going to be like. The graphics look really amazing and fantastic. We get to see some new, really cool looking enemies. We're also introduced to Samus's new abilities in this game, which is the psychic abilities, which at first don't seem too different from anything else, but there's that one that's really cool where she fires some kind of psychic shot, and you can just sort of guide it around and flow through a bunch of guys and stuff like that. So that's an interesting unit. That's very interesting. And then at the end we get to see a new cool suit, which am I the only one that thinks that the front of the suit just looks like a big face? Like Samus just has like a face right on her chest plate there. That's just me. I just saw the face there, but yeah, I think this looks really good, and obviously big deals been made for Metroid Prime 4 for a long time. I think it's been around as long as the Switch has, so it's great to see that it's finally coming out, and yeah, definitely something I'll be looking into. After that, we have Disney Villains Cursed Cafe, which the premise alone is very interesting. Sort of a mix of the Coffee Talk game, you remember that at all? Mixed with just Disney villains, obviously. And I think that's just a funny premise in its own right. Just focusing on the villains, I think that's just very interesting and unique. So, oh yeah, good for that. Witchbrook. This is one that, yeah, I don't think I'll look into it myself, but I do absolutely love the art style. I am a sucker for a good pixel art game, and this one just looks absolutely beautiful. I love the designs, I love the structure of it. It just all looks fantastic. Again, probably not something that I'm into, but yeah, I do like the look of it. The Eternal Life of Goldman is also a game that I like the look of it. It has a very similar look to Cuphead, maybe with a slight mix of Miyazaki, Studio Ghibli kind of vibe in it. I know that's just me looking into it. The style of it alone does have me intrigued, so maybe I'll take a look as well. Then was Gradius Origins. Yeah, probably no interest in buying it myself, but I do love the fact, as somebody who is getting into game preservation, I do love the fact that these games now have a new window for people to play these older style games, with a new one mixed in as well. That's really cool. Rift of the Necrodancer. Not much into rhythm games myself, but I did play Cadence of Hyrule. That was a lot of fun, and this one, following a more traditional kind of rhythm-based game, almost like Dance Dance Revolution sort of thing. Yeah, that's cool. Tamagotchi Plaza, or as they put it, Tamagotchi Plaza. I always heard it as Tamagotchi, so I don't know where that came from. Yeah, it's kind of a whatever sort of thing. Pokemon Legends ZA. This was, yeah, I didn't play I haven't played Legends Arceus, but this one I kind of maybe might get into. So this one, we've been hearing about this for quite a while, and in this version of the game, they start to introduce a bit more of the premise, a bit more of designated areas where you can capture Pokemon wandering up into different areas, and then the nighttime stages where you can participate in the tournament and fight other trainers and stuff. You can even sneak up on them and get an initiative on them, which is really funny considering that I remember playing the older Pokemon games and you had to walk down like rows of trainers just standing about, just minding their own business, and then you walk past them and they immediately challenge you to a battle. This is a way of getting back at them, in my opinion. You can finally sneak up on them and attack them at first, saying like, hey, now I'm challenging you for a battle. That just cracks me up a bit. Yeah, I go a bit on and off with Pokemon sometimes, but yeah, this is something I think I will keep an eye out for. I will take a look into. I think it's going to be something on my radar, certainly. Rhythm Paradise Groove. I've never played any of the Rhythm Paradise games on the DS, but a decent rhythm game with like some fun little additions and quirky characters. I know it's going to be a lot of fun. Again, not high on my list, but yeah, for the people who've been waiting for a long time for a new Rhythm Paradise game, I bet this is going to be absolutely fantastic. Then we get to something I honestly find a bit confusing, the virtual game cards. So it's a way of having like your virtual game cards be like your physical versions, in that you can transfer them between two different switches that you own. Like some of them could be on one, some of them could be on the other. And there's also a function where you can lend them out to other people. You can lend them out to your friends. They have them for like 14 days, and it comes right back to you. The first part, I'm not entirely. I don't really know about much, unless you can like transfer your actual game data from your games onto the cards, and then transfer it over to your other Switch. I don't understand what's so different about that, and just downloading the game on your other Switch. I don't know what the whole premise of that is. It just seems, unless it's a much quicker way of transferring them back and forth, I don't honestly see the whole point in that, to be honest. I might be completely missing something here, but I don't really see that. The other one, being able to lend it out to your friends for like up to 14 days, they said, that's actually kind of cool. I think it's a way of, a lot of people are buying digital games, so now if you buy a game digital and you want to loan it out to a friend, this is a way of doing it so they can play it for a while. It sort of reminds me, it actually does sort of remind me of like back in the days, this will tell you how old I am, back in the days of Blockbuster Video, when you would go there and you would rent out a game, and that was, well, basically for me, that was my weekend. I rent out a game and I try and play that as much as I can, and then have to take it back. So this is a way of playing these games if you don't own them, or if a friend doesn't own them, you can loan them out, and then they have a couple of weeks in order to play them, and it transfers back to you. So yeah, I do like that idea for people who perhaps don't have enough money to buy the games themselves. This is a way for them to get to try it out, sort of like a timed demo in a way, but they're able to block out some time and play through the entire game in a whole blast. And certainly with games nowadays, when they can last hundreds of hours now, at minimum, this is a great way of being able to share that. But I'm not sure about the virtual game cards myself. The second function I do like, the first one I don't know about. Then we hit like a what I call a speed round, just a little sizzle reel of games. So just go real quickly my thoughts on all of these. High on Life, don't really care for. Star Overdrive, cool but not too interesting. The Wandering Village, it's nice to see that going around. I don't think I'll be going for that. King of Meat, I mean, if I want to play something like that, I've got Fall Guys, so I'm not interested. Lose Lagoon, I don't know. Star Fantasy I, The Girl Who Steals Time, does look kind of interesting. I probably have to look into it a bit more, but again, probably wouldn't get around to it because I have a bunch of other things to get to. Then we had Saga Frontier 2 Remastered. Never got into the Saga Frontier games, but I'm sure they are quite interesting. The whole look of pixelated characters on like a sketched background, it's kind of interesting. I think maybe there is it looks just a little bit odd to have these pixel characters onto what is a sketch background. It's a lot different from the HD 2D stuff, where the HD stuff still has that very pixelated kind of look to it, so it still kind of fits the aesthetic. This feels a bit off. I don't know, it just feels a bit off. But if you can get past that, I'm sure it'll be great. Monument Valleys 1, 2, and 3, with 3 being the newest one in the series. Don't think I'll be looking into that myself, but yeah, they look really good. It does look really, really fascinating. Everybody's Golf Hot Shots, another golf game which, I don't know, golf's not really my thing, to be honest. What is my thing is Marvel Cosmic Invasion. When I saw this game, I thought, yeah, this is absolutely fantastic. It's from the same makers as the TMNT Shredder's Revenge from .emu, and this is exactly the sort of thing that is my jam. A good old-fashioned 2D beat 'em up with Marvel characters, a brightly colored art style. It looks a lot of fun, lots of diverse characters and stuff like that. I'm looking forward to this a lot. I think this is probably my highlight of the Direct myself. I'm really looking forward to it. Then we get the final game, which is Tomodachi Life Living the Dream. And yeah, again, I'm not as big into these kind of life sim games, to be perfectly honest, but it's nice to see that the Miis are still being kept around and given some kind of importance outside of being playable characters in Smash Brothers and that sort of thing. So I am glad to see this game back because it really resonates with a lot of people. Yeah, for me, I don't know if it's really sort of thing I get into. The final item that came up before we finished, Shigeru Miyamoto showed up, the granddaddy of Nintendo himself, and he goes over just briefly like the history of Nintendo Direct, and then he introduces a new concept of Nintendo Today, which is basically just an app for your phone that you can use to just get like quick bites and updates for Nintendo news, as well as a bunch of a couple of other things. I have been using it the last couple of days, and it's basically just some artwork for some games, some fan art, and a couple of artworks for some of the other games, and just kind of reminders of when other Nintendo Directs and other big Nintendo important events end up coming up. Yeah, I think it's fine. It seems fine if you are into Nintendo stuff, and it's kind of a good way to just keep you in the loop if you are really into that kind of Nintendo sort of thing. I think it's a better, perhaps more manageable way of getting to it instead of looking on like Twitter or X or whatever it is. It's better than using just social media stuff. It's a way that it's just a better way to connect with people, and I get it. I do understand that, and I think it's fine if you're really into that sort of thing. So yeah, it's good. I hope it doesn't replace like Directs in general, that this isn't just the way that they're going to introduce information now. We don't get any more Directs, because these Directs are a lot of fun. Even if this one was perhaps somewhat lacking in some areas, but also good in others. Yeah, I think it's fine if you want. Well, it does sound like a good idea. Probably a smart move by them. So after that, and about less than a week later, we get what we were all waiting for quite some time now, and that is the Nintendo Direct for the Nintendo Switch 2. And immediately off the bat, we see, because we get like, well, first of all, we get like a new opening, a new intro, which is, kind of cool. That kind of shows you, yeah, this is something a little bit different. I don't know if this is just specific for this one, or if this is just the new Nintendo Direct intro. That's kind of cool. I do like it. But after that, we then go right into a game. We don't go into the Switch itself. We go into a game that was teased during the initial reveal of the Switch, which was Mario Kart. Well, it's not called Mario Kart 9 now. It's Mario Kart World, and we get a brief trailer for it. We get an explanation for it from the 3 men behind the Switch 2, and basically this is a Mario Kart game, which is kind of an open world sort of game. You get like this big, huge, it seems like big, huge connecting world where you can drive around all of the race tracks, but you can also drive off it and drive off into beyond that, and we get to explore the whole world of the Mario Kart world. We get to go off track. We get a whole bunch of familiar looking characters, a couple of new ones. I think you can play as a cow at one point. That kind of was weird. You also get like the ability to grind on rails and drive on walls and that kind of thing. You get to fly. You get to go in boats and in planes and that sort of stuff. You get different costumes for different characters. A whole bunch of new courses to race in. A whole bunch of new cups and such. And apparently, you drive between each different race course, which is an interesting idea. We're gonna get like a full-on a direct a few weeks later. In fact, we're getting 3 directs within like there's many weeks between them. That's crazy. That they're going full hog with this. It does make me wonder if they're actually going to do anything during June and July, if there is going to be anything left there or not. After they finish talking about Mario Kart World, they do go into more about Nintendo Switch, starting off with the Joy-Cons. Well, actually, no, sorry, they don't go into the Joy-Cons. They go immediately into a new feature involving something new on the Joy-Cons, which is the C button. And this new feature is something called Game Chat. Now, this is something that Nintendo, I think, has struggled with in the past. They've struggled with ways of allowing people to connect and speak with each other. And I think the best way you would have done that is to just open up your phone and talk through that, or open up, say, WhatsApp or Skype. But instead, you've got this way of communicating through your Switch, because now they have included a microphone on the Switch 2, and you get to speak to your friends through that, and you get to speak to each other through this game chat. Up to 4 people together can go together on game chat, sort of like their own version of Discord or something. And this new microphone on there is able to pick up your voice, even when you're quite a distance away from it. It's also able to cancel out any background noises or anything, so it just picks up your voice. They do have other features there. You push the C button and you can bring up this chat menu that allows you to mute your microphone. It also allows you to do screen sharing, where you can actually see what everybody else is playing and what they're doing. Not just the game that you're playing, but any other game they're playing. This is where it was kind of a bit of a worry for me, because they were nowhere near hiding what was happening, because the frame rate for your friends as you're playing is pretty bad. The drop in quality was just awful. It was really struggling to keep up. And the Switch 2 is supposed to be more powerful, and I do get into more details about it later, but the Switch 2 is supposed to be more powerful, but apparently not powerful enough that you can have up to 5 different screens, 5 different displays on your screen. The only one that's running at a reasonable rate is your own one, and the other 4 just end up being pretty bad. But hopefully that's something that's not that big a deal or can be fixed at a later date. But yeah, not such a good start there. There's also an extra feature with a camera accessory that you can actually plug into the console. There's a second USB-C port on top of the console that allows you to show yourself to your friends on the screen, whether just showing yourself or having like the green screen effect right behind you as you're playing the game. And it's interesting, that's novel. I guess it is a way for allowing people to see you. It doesn't help the fact that it's still all very choppy no matter what you do, whether you're showing gameplay or if you're showing yourself. It's still not of high quality. That's something that I don't know if they should have worked out with that, sort of worked that through before they decided to showcase it, but maybe they wanted to hurry and showcase it as soon as possible and probably didn't bother trying to hide it or anything. I think ultimately it is the least worrisome kind of thing. I don't know if many people will actually use it, or if many people will actually be that bothered by it. They're just concerned more with the chat feature or something like that. It is nice that Nintendo is trying to appease that kind of market of people who want to be able to communicate with each other through the Switch without having to use like extra peripheries or anything like that. Yeah, not an entirely good showing, but hey, you can just chat to people through microphone and that's probably fine, okay. Then they go on to talk about something really quickly called Game Share. This is sort of a bit like the virtual cards that we talked about earlier, except that it's something that can work wirelessly, local wirelessly, and allows you on your Switch 2 to be able to share a game with a bunch of other consoles, like up to 4 other consoles on Switch 2, and more importantly with Switch 1 and the Switch Lite, which is really cool. So you can just push a button or do something and you get to share that game and you get to all play the game together, and that's pretty cool. That's pretty fun. There is online share available, but only for Switch 2 consoles, and it would be compatible with a handful of games. The ones they showed were Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, Super Mario 3D World, 51 Worldwide Games, Super Mario Odyssey, and the latest Big Brain Academy game. There might be more to get added on, but those are the ones that were mainly shown. But I think this is an interesting idea. I think, some people have different tastes and such, or perhaps they can't afford those kinds of games, so they need to find a way to be able to share and play all these games together. I think this does sound like an interesting kind of idea. Nintendo really worked an interesting idea of this game, and it looks like the gameplay is still good no matter how you do. I'm still getting caught up on the whole screen share thing with the previous with the game chat, but no, this seems like a good thing, game share. Then we get into some of the specs for the console itself. There's a much bigger screen at like 7.9 inches, but the size of it is still the same as the original Switch. It can support 1080p resolution, 120 frames per second for supported titles, LCD screen with HDR support. We get a little bit about the Joy-Con 2 controllers. They now connect on with magnets rather than clicking down as the Switch 1 uses them. The SL and SR buttons are now bigger, and there are now larger control sticks, which is an interesting thing. No mention about the drift that the Joy-Cons would have before, that the original Joy-Cons would have. No mention about any improvements on that sort of thing. Perhaps they're trying to indicate that, well, I don't know what they're trying to indicate with that, honestly. And I definitely don't want to just come out and say, hey, these Joy-Cons won't drift, so you don't have to worry about that. Also, go into a bit about the mouse controls that the Joy-Cons seem to have, which involves just like sliding around on like a flat surface, just like a mouse you would regularly. And it does get a bit brought up a little bit later on, but this is an interesting... I'm not sure how this function will work, because most people tend to play their games sat in a chair or a sofa or something. They don't usually have like a hard surface right in front of them, and to play a full game where they have a mouse and they're just sliding it across the table, I don't know, I'm skeptic about that. I mean, it appeals to perhaps PC gamers who are used to doing that, playing with a mouse and a keyboard. I don't know, I personally am a little bit skeptical of that since I'm not as used to that sort of thing myself. I'm not much of a PC gamer myself. But, you know, there's always a chance to improve that. There's always a chance to work with that. And there are some games coming up that will try and showcase that. We also get improved audio and immersive sound included. There's a new wider stand when it's outside, no longer the little dinky thing that's at the back to try and hold the Switch up and ends up tipping over. This is one that covers the whole back and it can bend back quite well. That's fantastic. That's a good improvement there. The second USB-C port that I mentioned previously, the storage is now much bigger. The storage is now 256 gigabytes, which is 8 times more than the Switch 1. That is fantastic. That was one of the major downsides for the original Switch, just having very limited storage capacity. You always have to buy extra storage from that, which is fantastic. They managed to fix that now that we got much more storage. Whether that means that the games themselves are going to be bigger or not, I don't know, but I mean, that's just something that we'll have to figure out when the Switch comes. There's a new dock station with a new sleeker design. This has apparently the ability to allow 4K resolution when the Switch is docked into it. It also has a built-in fan to help keep the Switch cool, which, you know, that always sounds cool, no pun intended. I also get the news that we did kind of hear about before, that the Switch 2 will support compatible Switch 1 games. This is not going to be every single Switch game out there. It is going to be some Switch 1 games, mostly first-party ones, I imagine. Again, not too many details about it, but there is a game that they are working on to help introduce us to the Nintendo Switch 2 called Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. Literally like a tech demo that you could just walk around in and check out the new features, some mini games that will help to showcase those features. The only kind of downside to that is that it is apparently going to be a paid digital title. Like, you're gonna get us to pay for this to figure out what the heck this thing is. That seems ridiculous. That's like going to like IKEA and buying something to set it up, but then they'll charge you extra for the instructions. That just sounds nuts to me. That sounds really weird that they're going for that. It should be something that just is included with the Switch, so you can check it out and figure out all these sorts of things. I'm not too sure about that thing myself. We also get a look at the game cards, and they're apparently the same size as the Switch 1 cards, only they're red now, so you'll be able to tell them apart, I guess. And they have faster reading speeds, so I guess the games will just boot up faster. I guess that's what it means. They also mentioned that for extra storage you can buy microSD cards, but the game will only work with microSD Express cards. It doesn't work with the standard microSD cards anyway. There's also a way of transferring your data from Switch 1 to Switch 2 via your Nintendo account. They've got a Pro Controller there, obviously, and the developers will have an article answering all possible questions on the Switch 2 website, which is now up and running. It wasn't up and running when the presentation was going, but it should be up and running now. Then the big news, the release date. When are we finally going to get our hands on this new Switch 2 console? And the answer was shockingly surprising. June the 5th. That is that is a lot more sooner than I think anybody probably would have expected. Like maybe would have expected like September or something like that, perhaps, maybe August, but early June, like that literally, I think literally probably by the time this video goes up, it's only about 2 months, literally 2 months away, and we can get our hands on a Switch 2, which is mind-blowing. It's incredible that we get it this soon. Yeah, I don't know what more to say to that. That's just bizarre to think about that this console is going to come this soon. I mean, I don't think we don't even know everything about it. Then we have to get it this soon. I keep going over it. It's this soon. That's insane. But yeah, not too long to wait until we finally get our hands on this Switch console. The rest of the presentation then sort of becomes more like a standard direct, if you will. It just becomes all about the games and such. They do go in first to explain the 3 different types of games that the Switch 2 will support. The first one is obviously Switch 2 games. The second one will be certain compatible Switch 1 games, of which there's, I believe, just a limited selection at the moment, and maybe more become compatible later on. The third version is Switch 2 Edition games. These are Switch 1 games that have an additional upgrade feature to them. And they give a few examples, like for example, in Super Mario Party Jamboree, they include functions to include the mouse controls, audio recognition, more expressive rumbles, and gameplay involving the camera accessory. And some of the games they show for like that is something called Bowser Live, where people with the camera, you just kind of pop up on screen, and it kind of reminds me a lot of like the PS2 iToy, which is just these badly cutouts of yourself, and you're just playing these strange games like hitting a question block and bouncing Goombas on your head. It is really very reminiscent of that sort of thing. It is so bizarre, but like, hey, it worked better than the Kinect. It's better than the Kinect. I think keeping it simple like that is good. Probably even gives developers ideas of creating something that would work with the camera. I mean, what did I say? It works better than the Kinect. I hate to hop onto that, but yeah, it might be fun. And it's an interesting idea. Also, mouse controls were used in some games for like this roller coaster riding game where you're shooting up objects and such. Yeah, just little gimmicks and stuff like that. It looks like Super Mario Party Jamboree is going to be like their version of 1-2 Switch, where you can just test out all these different peripheries. That being said, I mean, there was also Nintendo Switch Welcome Tour, so that might also be there. But it's interesting that they're trying to showcase different ways of using this. Yeah, so the next Switch Edition game they've got is Legend of Zelda's Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, which features what you kind of expect, an enhanced resolution and frame rate, but also they include things like a Zelda Notes app, which is something that works on your smart devices and is honestly kind of fun. It basically features GPS for Zelda. It tells you, it's mad. It's really mad that I'm actually thinking that like this. That is actually a thing. It features GPS for Zelda, where you can check out where you may have missed out things like Korok seeds or maybe some shrines and stuff like that. You just point it out, say you want to go there, and it will just tell you, basically tell you to go there. It is so funny that you're now just using your phone, your GPS for a Zelda game. It is really hilarious, and yet I guess somehow it is kind of fitting. I think a phone does kind of look a bit like a Sheikah Slate in a weird way, so yeah, I guess that does work. There's also ability to create QR codes for some of the creations that you make in Tears of the Kingdom. You can send those QR codes to your friends, and then they can access them and then use it to quick build your creation. So there's a fun way of sharing things. That's really interesting. And a couple of other quick ones, like Kirby and the Forgotten Lands having a new story edition added onto it. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond using the Switch 2 version using the mouse controls for some shooting and aiming and such. Again, this is where I think the appeal to PC gamers might also come in with this. And Pokemon Legends ZA actually also is kind of there. It's more like just more frame rate, resolution, performance upgrades and that sort of thing. Now these upgrades are available if you buy the Switch 2 versions immediately, but if you happen to have the Switch 1 version, there is apparently you can get these through an upgrade pack. So you already have the game, just plug it in there, and probably spend a little bit extra. They didn't mention the price, and barely any prices mentioned on anything like that. In fact, none at all. But yeah, just plug it in there, buy an upgrade, and then you'll be able to play the game with the upgrades. So yeah, a little bit extra, but hopefully it's not that much expensive to buy. I mean, you already have the game, and it's worked on some of the other consoles. I think with the PlayStation 5, you can get the PlayStation 5 versions of PS4 games with just a little bit of a payment. Sometimes it's just a free upgrade, but you get a little bit of payments, and yeah, I'd say that's fine, as long as it's not too extortionate or anything like that. I think this is perfectly fine. Then they also show off a game that's meant to show the mouse controls in proper, and I think the gyro controls that were in the original game. A game called Drag X Drive or Drag Cross Drive or something like that. Yeah, it's basically wheelchair basketball. That's what it basically is, which is an interesting novel concept. It kind of makes me think, is this going to be the Switch 2's version of ARMS for the Switch 1? It is an interesting concept, an interesting way of trying to showcase the mouse. I don't know if I'm really into it, whether I'm going to get at that sort of thing myself, but I do like the fact that they are trying to utilize these. I don't know how well the mouse is going to be implemented into games, to be honest, but then again, I'm probably a skeptic who's just not used to that kind of thing in my games. We'll just have to see. Maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe the mouse will become like the new hot thing, like the Wiimote or something like that. So let me get into a quick rundown of Switch 2 games that are coming to the console. The first one actually kind of throws me off for a loop and surprising. Elden Ring is coming for Switch 2. The Elden Ring is coming to the Switch 2. Now that immediately sends up like red flags and stuff like that for me, because as much as I do like the Nintendo Switch, it is not the best performing console out there. I think we can all safely say it is not the best performing console out there. There are some games out there that just don't do well on the Switch whatsoever. And something like Elden Ring, which is so vast and so detailed that I'd be impressed if it does actually live up to what the trailers are showing, and that it actually has that level of detail, because the Switch is notorious for not working so well with certain games like the latest Mortal Kombat games or the WWE 2K wrestling games. I've seen it work with some games like Doom 2016. Graphics on that obviously not on the same level as the other versions, as PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. It functions well. It functions fine for the little bit that I did play of it. So to see it working at that capacity, but yet still maintaining that kind of graphical fidelity, I don't know. No, that's what kind of threw me off a bit. I think the fact that it's called the Tarnished Edition is also an interesting omen. Like, yeah, if it ends up being that bad, Tarnished Edition probably would be the most appropriate name for it. But yeah, the other games that are coming out for it are Hades 2, Street Fighter 6, Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion, I think is a new version for it. Split Fiction is coming for the console, which, if that works out well, I think that would be perfect for, like, especially involving the game share ability. EA Sports FC and Madden NFL, Hogwarts Legacy, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, Hitman World of Assassination. That's gonna be an interesting game to play on the go. And also from the same makers of Hitman, they've got the 007 game, which I haven't seen or heard of anything for years. And I think they did show the exact same trailer that they showed when they were working on the console, when they were working on the game. So yeah, it doesn't hold a good omen. But, you know, so glad to know that's still coming, and hopefully that'll be fantastic. And Bravely Default Flying Fairy, Yakuza 0 Director's Cut, and probably the most impressive one, most exciting one at the end of it, Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment. That is interesting that we're getting a new Hyrule Warriors game, and it's continuing the trend for the last one by following within the Switch variant of games. I don't know what the Breath of the Wild is, the Kingdom universe. I don't know what to call it, but this one, it looks like it's set during the time when Zelda has gone back in time to well, essentially back to when the Age of Imprisonment is. I'm sorry, it's been a while since I played the game. I've forgotten a lot about that. But yeah, does this mean that Link is not going to be playable in that game as a fighter? Is this going to be like yet another Zelda game where Link isn't involved, that Zelda actually gets top billing, even when the game isn't in her name this time? I mean, I'm now kind of worried. Is Link now being usurped for Zelda? Is Zelda actually finally taking back the title of the game? Is it not going to be called Legend of Link? And Link's just not going to be in it? I don't know, but I think the game looks interesting. It'll be interesting to see where that goes. Now, this is the part of the presentation that really got me excited, and I think the part that probably made me want to do this video. And that is the fact that Nintendo Switch Online is still going to be on Switch 2. Apparently there's going to be no changes whatsoever. It's still going to be the exact same as it was previously. We're still going to get all the good stuff that's on there. But now the added bonus that GameCube games are being added to the Nintendo Switch Online. GameCube games, as soon as I saw that logo, I cried out, yes. This is fantastic, because I think that the GameCube has been severely underrepresented on the Nintendo consoles for the longest time. We've gotten a couple of new things here. We've gotten some remasters, maybe a remake or two here and there, but we've never got any proper GameCube representation, and now we finally get it, and that is fantastic. We are going to get GameCube games for the NSO. We're apparently going to get free to start with Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker, which is a fantastic title. Soul Calibur 2, that is awesome, because we've gotten like remaster of the other Soul Calibur 2 games with Heihachi from Tekken and Spawn in them, and they've been remastered, and that's fantastic. But like the one that everybody talks about is the one involving Link, the one we get to play as Link in the Soul Calibur 2 world, and now we finally get to play that without having to drag up our GameCubes and plug them in and play that. We finally get to play that on the go with the Switch 2. That's fantastic. That's awesome. The third game also is F-Zero GX, and yeah, I'm not got much to say to that. F-Zero GX, that's fantastic. 3 games for the Nintendo GameCube on the NSO when it launches, and there are going to be more titles to be added, and we've seen a little sizzle reel of them. There's going to be Super Mario Sunshine, Fire Emblem Path of Radiance, Pokemon Colosseum, and Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. That's fantastic. I played the first one. Absolutely loved that game. I've not had a chance to play the second one. I was really looking forward to playing that. Mario Smash Football, Chibi Robo, and Luigi's Mansion. A good selection of games that are coming out. I mean, what more I can say? GameCube games finally coming to the NSO. That is absolutely fantastic. And we're getting a wireless GameCube controller for the Switch 2. So it's all perfect. It's all fantastic. This is all I really wanted. This is just fantastic here. Then we get into like another run of games that are coming for the Switch. Deltarune. I've never really got into that sort of thing myself, but apparently we're getting chapters 1 and 2, as well as 3 and 4 when they eventually come out. Borderlands 4. I only played Borderlands briefly, not too much to care about that. Sid Meier's Civilization 7, WWE 2K and NBA 2K apparently come to the Switch, which again, kind of concerning, because since the WWE games have not had the best track record when it comes to the Switch. Survival Kids looks kind of fun and interesting. If it's a multiplayer game, maybe get into that. Enter the Gungeon 2 looks really good. Kind of wondering how that bullet time thing works when it is 3D. Starseeker Astroneer Expeditions. I'm sorry, there was a bit of a long title. I got confused by it. Nothing much to say about that. It really is just a title. Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition. Okay, that is again cool, but something that detailed on the Switch, really insane. And Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate. That is again really wild. I know that the original Final Fantasy VII can be played on the Switch, but game Remake Integrate on there. Again, I'm still baffled by it, because yeah, the Switch isn't exactly the best. The Switch wasn't the best when it comes to game quality, and even saying that, the Switch 2 1080p. I think most consoles are coming up to 4K now. You can play 4K stuff on the screen. Yeah, I'm focusing too much on this kind of thing, but yeah, it's crazy we're getting this stuff. Then we get what I thought at first was a new Castlevania game, and then I saw the name From Software and I thought, wait, does this look like a Bloodborne kind of game? But no, it turns out it's something completely new called the Duskbloods. And I will be honest, I can't really get into the Soulsborne kind of games. Yeah, I'm the kind of person who is not that good at Soulsborne types games. I think I played a bit of Dark Souls first, and I played another type of game in that genre called The Surge, which is more of a sci-fi bent to it. They're not my games, I think. I don't think I'm really that much into the hardcore, hard-playing games. I can't get good like they say on the internet, so I'll leave that for the people who want to play them and hope that they eventually decide, you know what, we want these people to experience these games, let's just give them an easy mode. That's what I'm hoping for, that they give us an easy mode so we can all experience this game, but for now, I will leave it to the people who are actually good enough to play it. A couple last surprises at the end. We get the return of Kirby, and specifically we get the return of Kirby Air Riders, a game that hasn't been seen for 20 years. Talk about GameCube representation. I've never actually played the original Kirby Air Ride, and yeah, at first the trailer made it look like, okay, it's Kirby there. Is this going to be Kirby, or is this going to be Smash Bros? Are you really going to announce Smash Bros as a game that's coming for the Switch 2 this early? And no, it is a Kirby game, but it's one that I think a lot of people are looking forward to. The final game they released, this is the one that I think really turns a lot of people's heads. Donkey Kong Bonanza. This is something that is really wild. I mean, first of all, the new design for Donkey Kong is pretty crazy. It's pretty cool, actually. I do really dig it. And speaking of digging, this game involves a lot of Donkey Kong just like smashing down into the ground, breaking the world around him, picking up blocks and just smashing other blocks with it. It is really off the wall and insane, and yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. I think this is going to be effectively their Super Mario Odyssey for the Switch 2, which we haven't got a Super Mario Odyssey 2 or another Super Mario game in that vein, so maybe this is one to tie us over until they think of a new gimmick for Mario to have. But this is really fantastic to have a Donkey Kong game with a new edge to it, something that really, it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I definitely want to get my hands on that. And finally, just wrap up telling that people that the console is coming out on June 5th. I completely forgot that. I'm checking my notes here. Yeah, it's June 5th. And the Switch 2 is sold separately, but also can be sold as a bundle with as a digital bundle with Mario Kart World. So that's fantastic. Yeah, overall, lots of information about the Switch. Definitely looks really exciting. I'll be honest with you, I'm somebody who usually waits about a year before I actually get a console, because I want to wait for them to iron out all the kinks, fix a couple of things, make sure that the Switch 2 2.0 is kind of working. But I did get the Switch one about 6 months in after its release, and there's actually a really funny story about that, which I'll save for another time. And the Switch 2, I might actually consider getting it within this year at some point, because it does really latched onto me and kind of given me that, yeah, this is something I want to get. That's something you really have to market with a new console. That it's not just simply an upgrade for your previous console. It's something completely separate that you have to get. I remember not really getting the Xbox Series X until my Xbox One literally died on me, and then I had no choice but to get it about 1 or 2 years into its release. So yeah, this does make me want to get the Switch 2. It does advertise it well to me. But yeah, so many crazy stuff here. A few worries here and there, but overall, I feel like I am really sold on this, if only just to get the GameCube version of NSO. I am really looking forward to that. I really want to play Pokemon Colosseum when they finally release that. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the 2 Nintendo Directs. I think this is looking fantastic. I'm wondering what they're going to save for the summer, if they are even going to do a Direct in the summer, if they're going to skip that out because they've got so much stuff going on, and that's around the time that the Switch 2 is going to release. But you never know. Oh, so yeah, this is a bit of a very rambly, stuttery, weird kind of experiment here. And let me know what you guys think about this. Did you like the way I talked about things? Did you think there could be any improvements? Please give me feedback. It's the only way I'm going to learn. And I hope you enjoyed listening to my thoughts. Please let me know what you agreed with and disagreed with. Let me know about everything, about all of that in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And yeah, GameCube games coming to the Switch too. Absolutely fantastic. See you next time, guys.